Imagine buying your dream house in the middle of the capital city, only to realize your neighbor has been secretly siphoning your water for years. Now imagine finding a way to flip his entire life upside down without ever stepping foot on his property. That's exactly what happened to me. In the ending, let's just say karma hit harder than I ever expected. If you've ever been wronged by someone entitled who thought they could just walk all over you, hit that like button right now. And if you love hearing about satisfying revenge stories where justice gets served, make sure to subscribe, because this one is going to make your blood boil and then put the biggest smile on your face. A fresh start, or so I thought. I live in Asia, and just a few weeks ago, I finally purchased a new house. It wasn't just any house. It was a deal of a lifetime. The previous owners were family friends who needed cash quickly. And since they hadn't lived in the country for 3 years, they were happy to sell it to me at a bargain price. Sure, it was a fixer-upper. The renovation had been abandoned halfway. The front door, locked with nothing but a rusty padlock. The place didn't even have a proper gate. Anyone could just walk in, but it was my house, my chance at independence, my chance to build something of my own. And on the very first day I moved in, reality slapped me in the face. When I pulled up in my car, there was a motorcycle parked in my garage, like it was someone else's property. I rolled it out onto the street, shut my brand new gate, and thought, problem solved. But that night, some angry man banged on my gate for 15 minutes, shouting. I didn't open. From the window, I watched him finally give up and roll his bike away. That's when it hit me. This neighborhood was not going to be easy. The miser next door. Weeks passed. Small annoyances popped up. Neighbors blocking my gate. Random strangers acting like the place was still abandoned. I put up a no parking sign. Problem solved. Or so I thought. One night, I was taking a shower when I noticed the water pressure was unusually weak. A thin stream instead of the usual flow. But then, I heard something strange. From the house next door, the low hum of a water pump running. Now, my neighbor wasn't some sweet old man. He was a bitter, angry retiree. He lived on the ground floor of his 3-story house while renting out the top 2. The guy had been furious when my friends sold the property. Furious that outsiders like me had moved in. My friends had warned me. He's difficult. He's going to be a problem. But I wasn't worried. I'm 6 feet tall. I got 3 dogs, and I don't scare easy. Still, that pump bothered me. I tested my taps. When his pump switched off, suddenly my water pressure was back to normal. On, off, on, off. It was too perfect a pattern to be a coincidence. And in that moment, I realized something horrifying. This man was stealing my water. Betrayal and boiling rage. For years, the water bills on this property had been suspiciously high. Even when nobody was living here, the old owners chalked it up to leaks. But now, standing in my bathroom, water trickling weekly from the shower, I knew the truth. At some point during the years this house sat empty, my neighbor had illegally tapped into my water supply. He thought no one would notice. He thought no one would care. And for years, he got away with it. Now listen, in my country, water is cheap. My bill? $5 a month. Tops? It wasn't about the money. It was about the principle. This wasn't just a grumpy old man cutting corners. This was theft, entitlement, disrespect, and it burned me up inside. I wrestled with it for days. Should I confront him? Go to the police? Let it slide? But then I imagined all the times he'd smugly watched his tenants take hot showers and wash their clothes, while my friends unknowingly footed the bill. I imagined him laughing, thinking he'd beaten the system. And I thought, no, not this time. He needs to learn a lesson. That's when my revenge plan began to take shape. Simple but devastating. I didn't need to scream. I didn't need to break into his property. I didn't even need to touch his pump. All I had to do was turn off my water from the mains. See, here's how it works. His pump automatically draws water until his rooftop tanks are full. If the water level never rises, the pump just keeps running endlessly. Starving a pump of water is like running a car without oil. It destroys itself. So one night, just as I heard his pump kick on, I went outside, twisted my valve, and shut my water supply off. Then I went to bed with the sweetest smile on my face. What I didn't account for, his ancient wiring. That pump pulled power all night. By 3 a.m., sparks must have flown, because suddenly I heard chaos. Voices, shouting, tenants yelling at their landlord. Their power was gone. Their water? Gone too. In my country, water and electricity aren't luxuries. They're legally required essentials. Tenants can sue landlords for failing to provide them. And sue they did. By morning, the tenants had filed complaints. By that evening, one had already moved out. The other followed soon after. The fine stacked up. $500, an enormous sum for a retired mechanic. And the cherry on top, he had to refund both tenants' deposits, fix the wiring, and repair the pump before he could ever rent again. The man was ruined. A few days later, he came to my gate, his face tight, his voice calm, too calm. "Did you turn off your water?" he asked. I smiled politely. "Oh, yeah. My plumber found a leak in my tank, so I shut it off overnight until it could be fixed." His jaw clenched. He nodded once, muttered, "Oh, okay," and walked away, but I could see it. Behind his straight face, behind the forced calm, was the realization that I knew, that I had beaten him at his own game. This man had spent years leeching off my property, smug in his entitlement, and with nothing but the flick of a single valve, I took everything from him. His tenants, his income, his independence. Now, he's packing up to move in with his daughter, broke and humiliated. And me? I've got peace, privacy, and the sweetest sense of justice money can't buy. All because I refused to let him keep stealing what wasn't his. 2 birds, 1 stone, 1 twist of the wrist. Sometimes, revenge doesn't need fists or shouting matches. Sometimes, the most powerful justice is quiet, subtle, almost invisible. And that's the kind of revenge that leaves the deepest sting to them. If this story gave you chills, smash that like button. And tell me in the comments, what's the most satisfying revenge you've ever seen or pulled off? Don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this. Because trust me, karma always finds its way back.